Today I have the pleasure of being joined with Carlos Vicens, CEO of Circle Lithium. Today we'll be setting the stage for Full Circle and what people can expect for the remainder of 2024. Carlos, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you start by providing a high-level overview of what was accomplished last year for your company?
Sure, and thanks for having me. And look, I think that the company has executed in an accelerated pace from our early formation in 2022, really, to what we believe is going to be revenue generation over the next quarter. FCL, or Full Circle, is now at the final stages of having our first lithium recycling commercial plant active and generating cash flow for the company. So if we recall back, we were able to put together a former lithium carbonate producer with over 20 years of processing manufacturing experience in the state of Georgia in the US. We raised about 15 million Canadian gross over the past 12 to 18 months, and we utilized that money to refurbish the plant and put together what we call the formation steps for our company to start generating revenue in 2024 and beyond. So we will have a lithium carbonate, we do have a lithium carbonate plant already refurbished, up to about 2,000 tons of lithium carbonate capacity. We can expand that as we have more capital later on, but that's a good, I would say, space or stage to be in at the moment. We've secured our first client on the midstream recycling business, and we're working on our second client, and that should be announced very soon, so stay tuned for that. Very exciting opportunity there. We have now a fully integrated, what we call a fully integrated lithium extraction plant manufacturing capacity right there in Georgia. That means that we not only build our lithium extraction plant, we also manufacture our absorbent that goes into our lithium extraction plant and everything around it. And that would mean any type of filtering or filtration capacity or cleaning, either on the pre-cleaning before it enters the lithium extraction plant, and post-filtration to get it to a point where we can either produce final product for to enter into the lithium carbonate plant in Georgia or sell it back to the client. We've also demonstrated the proof of concept of our battery recycling business, and we're now ongoing our process optimization there. During that time, we developed what we call a fire suppressant solution. That's a very exciting product that not only leads us to safely dismantle batteries in a solution that does not generate any type of environmental hazards, but also lets us take it apart in solution where we can process much easier. But this solution has a secondary use, and that is to extinguish lithium-ion battery fires. And we've been going through I would say, a number of tests with third-party validators. We've done 2 of them, and now we're working on a 3rd. So very exciting part of our business, and we intend to move that forward in 2024 and beyond. So hopefully that's a good news there. And we also announced recently that we fully purchased a property at our that we had under lease, and we did all the leasehold improvements, and we additionally secured 40 acres of land that will now give us more than enough capacity to expand and also access rail and the highway much easier. So that's what we've done over the last, I would say, 12 to 18 months, which has been very exciting, very busy at our plant.
Thank you. And you laid the foundation nice for this conversation here. Does this reflection of 2023 include what happened in the first 2 months of 2024? I know we're at the end of February here at time of recording.
Well, to a certain extent, I didn't go through a lot of the details, but most recently, like I said, we not only secured our first client, but we've also proved all the necessary, I would say, technical aspects of that first client, which means that we're now in a place where we met all the specifications for our first client, both on the extraction and recovery of lithium within solution. But more importantly, we also demonstrated that we can get to specs on very low impurity levels. So every client's going to have different types of specs within the product that they want to that they're essentially giving to us in terms of waste. And for this specific client, our first client, we met all those specifications. And that's basically the most important, I would say, news over the last a couple months. We've been working very hard over the last part of last year and into January and February of this year. We're moving ahead on potentially the final definitive agreement signing with this client, and that will lead us into hopefully revenue generation over the next quarter or so.
So this relationship with this first client is obviously very important. Can you talk further about this relationship, or did you cover it all there? Or just, it seems like a very significant point to focus on in this conversation is your relationship with this first client and how it might affect relationships going forward and lessons learned.
Sure. Look, I mean, I think we started working with them back in early part of last year. We did a lot of lab and piloting at our plant. We installed a demonstration plant at their site back in mid-year, June, July timeframe. We operated that demo plant over a number of months at their site, proving a lot of the initial demonstration stage tests that we needed to do. And then that moved forward into more I would say production style specifications where we had to demonstrate the extraction of lithium, and we went up to more than 99% recovery on lithium within the solution of their waste. Recall that this client or the majority of the clients within the industrial and chemical space utilize certain types of lithium compounds, albeit lithium chloride or other types of lithium within their normal operations. And sometimes those operations are not as efficient as they might want. So a lot of that goes into a waste material that waste material gets treated and disposed of. This client specifically had anywhere between 300 and 500 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent being disposed, not being recycled. And we went in with our plant in order to extract that lithium from solution and try to provide them with, I would say, a lower cost of operations, meaning that they will recover a lot of that lithium loss within their operations. And now most recently, what we're trying to do now is sign the definitive agreement, which will lead us into revenue generation. But before that, we had to go through a series of steps to make sure that we prove that the product that gets sold back to them in this specific case is within the specifications that they need to have, because this specific client operates in the healthcare industry. So they're it's very important that we meet those impurity levels so they can produce the product, high purity product that they need for their business.
Now, are you able to disclose of any other prospective clients with this technology, or is it kind of a wait and see how it performs with this first client? Or
no, we're moving along. We are moving along with two other clients. I mean, one is in very late stages of negotiation for term sheets. So similar to what we did with our first client, what we first do is sign a term sheet, then go into what we call initial stages of piloting and demonstration stage. Because of all I would say the lessons learned on the first client, we're much adapt now to move faster into the second client, meaning that we've learned a lot of, I would say, supply chain issues at our side and what to expect from clients in terms of waste material treated. This specific client, we've been working with them for a significant amount of time. In fact, even prior to our first client. But they just had to kind of work on part of their business, so they essentially stopped this process for a while. So we know them well. We know exactly where they're coming from, what type of material we need to process. So it's a much easier, I would say, process from soup to nuts in terms of going from the piloting, demo, and production stage. So this specific client we've been working on, we're not stopping with just one client. We're hopeful that we can get this client into, I would say, production ready by third or fourth quarter of this year. And we're also working on a third client that is also very exciting, a much larger in terms of capacity. This client, could be anywhere between, this third client could be anywhere between 1,000 and 4,000 tons. depending on how we build capacity over time. Whereas the first client's anywhere between 300 and 500 tons growing and expanding. The second client's anywhere between 250 and 350 tons. So you can see the progression where you start with the first client of around 300 to 500, the second client coming in at the end of the year between 250 and 350, and this third client coming in early part of next year and between 1,000 and fourth, I would say starting at 1,000 and growing into, several thousands of tons over the expansion time. Now, granted, we still are early stages of negotiation with that third client, but once you have one client in production and one client working, I think other clients will be able to look at our record and see that, we're not, we have a real product, we have real processing, we have real plants and people that know what they're doing. So that's exactly what we tend to be negotiating right now with these clients.
Excellent. Now, just to take a pivot here, you also have a foothold in South America as well. What are you doing in Argentina, and do you expect any material developments in 2024 on that front?
Yeah, so everything that is recycling in nature within the waste, that will be considered what we consider in the business of midstream recycling. This expansion or potential expansion into Argentina brines and processing capability there is more on the refinery business, our third business. And what we're doing there is trying to work with a current producer to recover, to help them recover more lithium from their brine operations. So as you know, or as people may or may not know, the lithium brine business in South America, the typical evaporation process is somewhat inefficient in terms of they lose a significant amount of lithium in the evaporation process. And there are parts where you can potentially extract more lithium from that solution that gets lost in that evaporation process and precipitates. So we're doing that, some of the testing over the next quarter or so. So we envision having I would say, a piloting demonstration stage this year, sometime this year, depending on how the results come in from this first lab test that we're doing at our plant. So we already received from this client a tote of their brine. So we're going through that testing in Georgia. And as we move through that testing, we'll slowly but surely move ahead over this, I would say this year, 2020, fiscal year 2024. And we'll have a result and potential to move on into more of an operation stage into next year locally in Argentina.
Thank you. And for the third one, which I know many people are interested in your battery fire suppressant technology. Last time we spoke, you were mentioning that you intend to test the technology on an appropriate scale, that being an EV battery. So if successful with that test, what are the next steps for the fire suppressant tech? Can you provide us an update with this technology? Sure.
What we've done there is that we've done two tests. One is I would say, smaller batteries. We've talked to this in the past, these are like AA batteries, and we put 19 together, and we put that in. We essentially put them on fire, took them out with our fire suppressant solution. Then we did an e-bike battery, did exactly the same thing with very good results. We've received now the reports from our third-party testing facility, which are very, very significant and positive. And we'll put out most likely some of those results out in a press release sometime very soon, so people understand what we're talking about. Because one thing is to tell you on a video that our fire suppression solution is very good, believe us. And one thing is when you have proof and a report from a third-party validator that states exactly what we did, how we did it. And not only that, but we compared it against water, which is essentially, not a solution. Obviously water does put the fire out in the short term, but it doesn't put the fire out, together. Meaning that the fire will come back up because it doesn't stop the chemical reaction. And then we also compared it with a competitor. So you'll have those three compared over time. Now, granted, these are only two tests. The big test will come when we do exactly what you were saying, which is let's now put a battery about 50 to 60 kilowatt hour, put it on fire, and then test that fire with our solution, again with water, and again with a competitor. That has been delayed a little bit, not because of us, it's just because of the testing facility is fully booked, and we're just having, I would say, delays due to that. We have the batteries ready to go. We have the solution ready to go. We make our own solution in Georgia, so it's not like we don't, we're backed up there. So that will come in hopefully over the next quarter or two. That's something that we want to have sooner rather than later. Now, I mentioned this on one of our conversations in the past, is that what are we going to do once we have those 3 tests? Well, we need those in order to talk to third-party strategic partners or validators, in the sense that we want to move this project forward, but we're a small company, right? I mean, we're not in the business of selling fire suppressant solutions into the retail market, the commercial, industrial market. There are other companies that are much larger that already have those channels and have more firepower than us, and we can potentially leverage their expertise on that side to move our project faster into the market. So those are some of the things we want to work through this year. So there will be good news, hopefully, shortly there, and that is that. Just that business, in my own evaluation, my personal view is it could be as large or larger than all the other businesses combined, because this is a business that has applications today for the issues that we're having today. Not only today, but this lithium-ion battery revolution is not going to stop. It's only going to grow. If it grows, there's going to be more fires. And if there's going to be more fires, there needs to be a solution for those fires. And we believe we have that solution. So the value of that fire suppressant solution that we created is intact. We are working as hard as we can to put that through the system, as you might call it. We're working with first responders in Georgia. We're working with the government in the U.S. to try to promote that and receive some funds in the U.S. so we can move that faster. And we're also working with strategic investors in order to potentially move that and market that product faster as well.
Carlos, I appreciate the update. I think we covered everything. Is there anything else that I may have missed? And just a final question, are you attending PDAC? I know that's right around the corner.
Sure. Yes. One thing is that we've also, and I don't know if we mentioned this before, but we also applied for a grant in the U.S., which will be focused on the recycling and FSS business. That grant we applied in December. We should be getting a result of that grant sometime in April. We believe end of April, mid-April. They always tell us kind of a date, but not specific date. So we believe that we have a better than 50% chance on getting that grant. That's about a $6 million US grant. That is going to be significant to move that forward much faster. So hopefully that's another potential good news for our business. And yes, I will be at PDAC. There will be several events. I know that we sent through Twitter and some of the social media the ability for people to have a meeting with me during PDAC. So if you can do that through Calendly, do it. I'm happy to sit down with anybody that wants to go a little bit more in detail about what we're trying to do and who we are.
Perfect. And like Carlos said, just find it on their Twitter. It'd be easy to find the link. Thank you so much for the update, Carlos. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.